What's going on, guys? This is T. Thank you for tuning in to Side Hustling for Dollars. I got another one I wanted to kind of go over. I literally opened my email a few minutes ago and I saw that I had this email from ShyftOff. This campaign that they're partnering on for NRTC, they are posting that they are now accepting agents. Usually when they post this, then when they go out of their way to send the email, they really need agents for the campaign. So NRTC is a company that offers internet, phone, and TV service. So it's a cable company. So I want to go over what I got right here. If you're not signed up for the Shift Off platform, go ahead and get signed up. That way, when these types of opportunities present themselves, you're already signed up and all you got to do is enroll in that particular campaign. So this one right here, they're looking for inbound tech support for their internet, phone, and TV customers. And it gives you an overview of the work. Now, before I get started and reading all this, the pay $17 to $19 an hour. If you work 30 hours a week or more, you get the 19 hour on the $19. If you work like part-time, super part-time, say you work 15 hours or less, you get the 17 bucks. And if you fall somewhere in the middle, you get the 18. Okay. So that's how that works. All right. So the overview of the work, you're going to take inbound calls, chats, and emails from customers with connectivity and service issues. You're going to troubleshoot and resolve problems step by step. You're going to handle account and billing questions. You need to be able to log clear notes after every interaction. And you need to be able to recommend additional services when appropriate. Now, the type of person that qualifies for this role. I'm gonna read the list, but I'm gonna tell you right now, if you got any customer service acumen at all, you qualify for this role. All right. And plus, it's not that serious. You don't gotta do no interviews. You just gonna answer a few questions. In fact, I'm gonna go over to Shift Off. I'm gonna log into my account. I'm gonna show you the types of questions you need to answer just to get enrolled into this campaign after you have gotten enrolled on the platform itself. Okay. So who qualifies for this role based on what they're saying? You need to be somebody that's comfortable troubleshooting tech issues over the phone or chat. So that tells you you'll be using phone and you'll also be using chat to communicate with the customers. Next, you need to be able to explain technical concepts in plain language. What's that's basically saying, look, you got old people, you got people that are not tech savvy. They call in because you know what, my internet box went out. I turn it off and turn it on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do. So they calling you and they're asking for some guidance. So you need to be able to talk to them in a way that they can comprehend so that they can get their issue resolved, right? Three, you need to be able to stay calm and patient with frustrated customers. You know, put yourself in their shoes. You've been a frustrated customer before. I know I have. So, hey, stay calm and patient because you know what? We all been there, right? Next, you need to have basic internet network knowledge. No, you don't need to be a technical guru, just basic internet network knowledge. If you use the internet, if you got a at home uh modem or you got a TV cable box, you have basic internet and network knowledge. And then last one, they prefer if you have tech support experience. It said preferred, it didn't say required. So if you don't, no big deal. They're going to teach you anyway. All right. So they said they have hundreds of hours available to start working as soon as this weekend. They said that today is Thursday. All right. Maybe that's an overpromise. I don't know. I'm just reading what they said. You know what I'm saying? So it says onboarding takes 3 to 4 days from opt in to production. So they said from the time you enroll and get accepted to the campaign to the time you go into production. Production is when you on the phones, making calls, making money. They said 3 to 4 days is what they're quoting in this email. All right. It says spots are limited. Agents who certify quickly will earn first access to the hours. So you guys have never done these campaigns, never done these types of 1099 work from home platforms before. Once you get past certification and you go into what they call production, and production is basically like, okay, we passed certification. It's time to make the money. Let's get on these phones. That's what production is. They do this thing where they'll release usually it's a certain day of the week. They release all the hours for the next week, or sometimes they release all the hours like 2 weeks in advance. And so you go into that scheduling app and you schedule your hours out at that point, and you schedule based on what is available to schedule in the app, and you work the hours that you want to work. All right. So that's basically what they're saying. Okay. So I just want you guys to know that you can go to Shift Off right now and sign up for this campaign. Now I'm going to show you what types of questions you would have to answer for this particular campaign. All right, so I'm going to go over to Shift Off and I'm going to show you that. Shift Off, these are all the open opportunities they have. I think I went over these already. But just kind of to show you what happens. So once you get onto the ShyftOff platform, this is what you're going to see. I just talked about NRTC. This is it right here. So I'm going to click on it. And when you click on a campaign, it gives you some additional information about the campaign. It tells you if they have a certification bonus. This one is going to pay you $275. There's usually some type of parameter in there. You need to be done with certification and you need to have worked a certain number of hours in order to qualify for that one-time certification bonus, but it's easily attainable. It's not nothing crazy. And of course, you got a $40 background check fee, but you only pay your background check fee one time, and that one will work for any of the campaigns that you want to do. So it's a one-time background fee, and you can use it for everything on the campaign for, I think, a year or something like that. All right, and then it tells you how many days you can pick shifts. So this one is 7 days a week. You'll be able to pick shifts here, right? So then it gets into right here where it gives you a little bit more about the company. It's pretty much what I just read, where they tell you what you're going to be doing and what it takes to be successful and all of that. But once you get past that, you got this section. This is where the questions are. It gives you a little bit of policy in here that you can read about what their policies are for shift off. And then once you get in here, it's got basic questions. All right. You got some yes or no questions in here. You will need a resume. So if you have a resume, upload it. Every 1099 work from home platform is going to ask for a resume. They're not going to, give it the third degree or anything. I think they're just doing it as a technicality. So for those of you that don't have a resume, or maybe you haven't had to do a resume in like a super long time, I do offer a free resume template. The link to it is in the description and in the comments. It is a free template and is the exact same template I use. My resume looks exactly like that. So the template that I'm giving you, right? It's ATS friendly. So for those of you that maybe you want to use it to apply for like regular jobs, you can use it to apply for regular W-2 jobs as well. It works for that. If you're someone that's like, you know what, the ATS stuff, all this stuff they're doing is too much for me. I really don't want to have the headache of trying to redo my own resume. Can you just do it for me? I do offer a done for you resume service for a limited time. I'm only charging $25 for that. You'll see the link to that in the description and the comments. All right. So you're going to have to upload your resume here. The next thing you got to do for this NRTC gig is going to ask you some questions. Does your remote office setup meet the following standards? It wants to know about your computer because you got to use your own equipment. Does your computer have 8 gigs of RAM? Right? And do you have administrative control over your computer? That's pretty basic. If you got a fairly new system, you should have 8 gigs of RAM on it. Now, if you got a super old, like antique computer, that's probably not going to cut it. But most of us have newer stuff, so you should be okay. Or it says, I understand I will be required to submit a background check through a trusted ShyftOff partner to meet requirements set by the client, and that data can be shared with the client if requested. Depending on when you join ShyftOff, you may have already completed this step. And you just say yes, right? And then you scroll down. It wants to know what's your internet download speed. That way you're just going to go just do one of those internet speed things. Xfinity has an internet speed. Run the speed test on your computer. That's basically what you're doing. And then whatever the speed test comes back, you're just going to copy and paste all the results from the speed test in this box. Next, it says this campaign requires you to be hardwired at all times. Is that a requirement you are able to meet? All they're saying is, can you take that internet plug from your internet box and plug it into your computer? If you can do that, okay, great. They don't want you using Wi-Fi, is basically what they're saying. Then it says this campaign requires you to use a Windows 10 or newer operating system. Mac, Chrome, and other operating systems are unacceptable. So they basically want you to have a Windows computer that has. Most of us have Windows 11 now. And if you have a newer system, your computer is automatically Windows 11. If you got that, you're Gucci, you good. All right. The next, number 8, it wants to know what days of the week do you plan to pick up shifts? This campaign is open Monday through Sunday. So there's 7 days a week. They want to know when you want to work, right? What days of the week you want to work. So put in what days you want to work, right? Nobody's going to be double checking this. Nobody's going to interview you and be like, I see here on question number 8, you said that you want to work Monday through Sunday. You want to work 7 days a week. Nobody's going to question you on it. So just put it in the box. Yeah, if you say, hey, I'm going to work 7 days a week and you only ended up working 4, big deal. Nobody cares. Okay. Number 9, it says, please indicate your available shift times from the following options. It wants to know What windows of hours are you going to be wanting to work? You want 7 to noon? You're going to be probably working 12 to 4? You want 4 to 11? They just want to kind of get an idea like what shift times you might be like interested in, right? And this is not something that has to be set in stone. It doesn't mean that when you tell them this, that those are the only hours you're going to be working. You're going to have access to all the hours that are available. They just want to get an indication of what you're interested in, all right? Lastly, they got some scenario based questions in here. Now, this is where I use ChatGPT. So for those of you that have not been using ChatGPT, you dropping the ball. They have a free version. Run right now and get you a free version of ChatGPT up and running if you're not using it and just play around with it. It's amazing. I probably use ChatGPT every day for something, right? So for questions like these, I use ChatGPT. So I'm gonna give you a little tip. Okay, what I do with these questions so what I like to do is I like to feed ChatGPT my resume and I say, hey, chat, I am applying for another role that has some scenario based questions. I'm going to feed you my resume and I want you to take my resume into consideration when you answer these questions. Please answer the questions in a short but very professional manner. And that's what I do. And then I feed ChatGPT each question one by one. And then he gives me a good professional answer. And I take that question, you tweak it a little bit, you tweak the answer a little bit, paste that in the scenario number one. And I do the same thing for each scenario. Each scenario, just feeding the questions to ChatGPT one more time. Chat's gonna take into consideration what your resume experience is, and they're gonna answer the question from your perspective as the person that they see on your resume. Okay. So that's basically what I do with these types of questions. So let's see here. Scenario one, a customer calls in regarding an escalated ticket for an internet outage. She is upset as she has not received any communication within 3 days and works remotely, so she is unable to work. How would you reassure the customer and what next steps would you take to rectify the situation, right? I am going straight to ChatGPT to get an answer to that question. And I suggest you do it too, unless you are really good at answering these questions. Maybe you're a rock star at it. But me, I just want to click the easy button, drop the answers in there, and go on about my business. Right. So this is what you can expect for ShyftOff. Like I said, it's pretty easy peasy. Answer a few questions, upload your resume, and apply, and go on about your business. So it don't get much easier than that. And every one of these campaigns is very similar. So this is the NRTC, the one I just told you I got the email for. They are really looking for agents, and I got a lot of hours. But if you just click into any one of these other ones, if you want to kind of get an idea, like this campaign right here, see how it looks the same. For the most part, the questions are going to be a little bit different because it's a different campaign, but you're always going to need to put in your resume, right? They're always going to ask you to read their policy. They're always going to ask you what days you think you might want to work. But when it gets down to the scenario based questions, those will be a little bit different. Like describe a situation where you had to manage multiple tasks or projects simultaneously. How did you ensure that you remain organized and attentive to the specifics of each task? So you get a lot of those questions, scenario based questions, task based questions. It's just trying to see how you handle yourself in particular situations, right? So I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. Mainly the video was to tell you guys the NRTC really needs some agents. And if you want an opportunity to make 17 to 19 bucks an hour working from your house, choosing your own hours, this is it, guys. So other than that, that is all I got. I hope you found this video helpful. I will see you guys on the next one. T is out. Side hustle for dollars. Peace.